Hey everyone, it's Monster here, one half of your Nerdy Man Room show hosting duo. Here today to introduce to you a new show on our Stayware Network platform called Impressions. This new show is about what are our impressions of the collectibles that we get. So what you're going to see happen on these shows, whereas a traditional full figure review, unboxing, or collectible review and unboxing happens, you take things out, you look at them, you give all the details on articulation, all that. This is going to be a much shorter segment, but this is going to be focused on what are our first impressions of the collectible and item inside the packaging? What do we feel about it? How do we think about it? What is our first thoughts on, this is what this is going to be once I open it? And then we're going to take a little trip off camera. We're going to do some unboxing. We're going to do some opening. We're going to do some posing. If it's an action figure, we're going to do some setup if it's a different type of collectible. And then we will let it sit for a while and see how we feel about it. Might be overnight, might be the same day, just a few hours later. But however, we will give it time for us to sit with it and figure out how do we truly feel about it after the fact, and that will be what we call our lasting impressions. Now, after we give both our first and our lasting impressions of the item, we will come back here, sit down, and give you our final thoughts on the product. That might be a recommend because we thought it was a great product, or it might be a, nah, you should probably pass this by because it wasn't as good as it sounded on paper. Anyway, we're going to be doing this on a semi-regular basis as much as we possibly can. And we're going to kick the show off today with our first episode, but the Marshall, which is Ramen Toys' take on Marshall Bravestarr. So let's get right into it now with our first impressions. So here we have the Marshall's box. A little hard to get fully in frame just because of the size of my desk and where everything is sitting at. But wanted to kind of go over this as part of the first impressions. And very first look, very first impression, really cool looking box on the outside. You've got the Ramen Toy symbol. You've got the Marshall. You've got the Marshall himself, as well as a shot of Fort Carum in the background. And we all know, I'm going to call him the Marshall because that is what they have called him. We all know this is a third party's attempt at a Marshall Bravestarr. I will say the artwork, while as good as it looks, one of the things that does stand out is the face is a little, I don't know, off. Looks a little too skinny. I mean, Marshall Bravestarr was a kind of a bulky guy. He was drawn in the same vein of He-Man. So slightly smaller here, but still works. Just a little bit off on the face. Other than that, this artwork is really great. Side of the box, we really just have another shot of the Marshall, which is a much better artwork of him because it's not showing the face as much, and I love the stance. The Ramen Toy symbol again at the top. Back, great artwork, especially with the animals in the background. The looks like the wolf and maybe the puma there in the background, or possibly that's maybe the bear, and I'm looking at it wrong, but really cool. They showed the star shield in use, got the blue vest on them. Again, the face is just weird looking and off, but nothing majorly off-putting. I love the use of the blaster in the picture. But one of the coolest things, and again, this is the other side of the box with your barcodes, words, all this stuff. Well, no barcodes, but just your wording on where to find this at and how to find it. Top and the bottom, your warnings, small things, don't put them in your mouth, all that stuff. Top. But one of the really cool things with this box is that you get the chance to actually open it and see the display inside, because it does have this magnetic clasp. Now, once you open this magnetic clasp, I'm going to start on the left side here. Show the Marshall's artwork with all of the different animals in the background. You see the hawk, the wolf, the bear, the puma. Really cool how they did that in the background, and this is probably the best artwork of his face. But again, it's also blocking the face somewhat with the visor hat on. But really cool mock-up here. This is one of the greatest things of this box set. Other than when you open it, you get this really cool shot of the Marshall himself. Now, individual copies may vary. Mine, you see the little bit of the head cock, like confused Marshall face, but we really can't help that. That's just kind of how it got packed in the box. But cool packaging where you can see everything, the star shield, the vest. There's a multitude of additional hands here you can use. He comes with the fists already loaded on him, but the gun grip hands, the open hands, and the other grip hands are in here that you could take out. Two different hats. You've got the regular and the one with the visor. You've got the alternate head plate, the tomahawk and case, as well as the blaster and holster for it. All of which can snap onto the Marshall, it looks like, in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I haven't opened them yet, so we haven't found out, but really cool looking here. Got the chance to see what's going on inside, so awesome. So now what we're going to do next is break this bad boy open. Not on camera, but I'm going to break him open. I'm going to get him out, get him situated, and then we'll come back and record some more. So we'll be back soon, guys. All right, so we're back, and now we have the Marshall out. We've had a chance to mess with them, so now we're going to give final impressions. First impressions was it was a really cool box set. I am glad I bought 2 of them to keep one in the box, but I did plan on opening one to have in my 80s cartoon shelf here, as you can see, joining some of the other 80s cartoons leaders, as well as 2 of my favorite Thundercats with Bengali and Tiger back there. Geez, I almost said Chitara, and that is Tiger, but yeah, it's been a long day, so check out all these figures along with them. Looks great in the set, along with also besides just leaders, I had my Stone People because I just really thought they were cool when they came out in He-Man. But we're going to focus on the Marshall here. So very good. Final impressions of him. Posability, fantastic. The face is really good. I tried out the alternate heads. I did try some of the alternate hands. As you see on here, he came with a fist, but now he's got one gun grip hand, one open splayed hand. Really cool. I think that he was really posable and stuff, and all the joints worked really well. I had no frozen joints. He moved around really well. One of the biggest gripes and complaints I could have with him, though, is that his feet. I did have to steal a G.I. Joe retro stand just to get him to stand balance, because I was trying to get him to stand, and there's no ankle rockers really. You do have ankle tilt forward and back, but no rocker side to side, so it's hard to get a good balance. And then also the way his cowboy boots are made, even if you stand him in an A pose, his I'm not sure that you can see it here, but maybe we'll try to get in closer. When you have the foot flat, the heel and the ball of the foot do not match up to the same height. There's a little bit of difference. The heel is just a little too short, and I know he's wearing cowboy boots, but in reality, cowboy boots, you want the heel to be the same length as the ball of the foot so that you can stand flat-footed no problem. With this figure, that didn't quite come through. But you can get him into good poses, and then if you've got a stand like a G.I. Joe classified stand or something like that, or any other stand, you can get those on those. He's got the peg in the heel, so you can peg him onto those and use that for extra balance. And just because people may have a question on whether I can balance or not, I will cut to a shot here of another figure balanced from a Marvel Legends, just balanced on one toe going. Or actually, we can even drop down here and check out Wolf Spider. He's standing on basically 1 1/4 foot here, and my rope moved so he doesn't look like he's repelling anymore, but still, we'll fix that later. Right now, back to the Marshall. I swapped out the blue chest plate that came on him. I was not a fan of the overlay, the cloth overlay. It looks kind of like a poncho. I took that off. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the blue chest plate. I did like the white one because it gives it more pop to it, but now if you take both chest plates off, the chest itself is much more true to the cartoon. Now, on the cartoon model, he did not have any white on his chest. It was just blue stripes to his start and came down to these red, orange pieces here that kind of go down the rest of his shirt. He actually has that when you take the overlay off. But for me, I thought the white overlay gave it much more pop. Plus, the figure itself, to make the overlay fit and look right, I mean, his proportions look great with it on. When you take that off, his upper chest looks very skinny compared to the rest of the body, so I didn't like it without it. Now, with it on, perfect. I really, really like that. I like the color pop on the hands as well as the chest piece, and it matches the hat. I will say, biggest complaints other than the feet. Only other things that didn't work that well besides the balance, which is the only really major call out, is that we have the holster over here for the gun, the blaster. I'll try to point to it. It's a little bit loose in the peg. It doesn't fit fully. Now, the Tomahawk holster fits fantastic. The gun holster one kind of tends to want to fall out. It doesn't snap in very far because the hole is just in the brown overlay. It does not go all the way down to the actual figure, but that's okay. It still works, especially once you get imposed. The blaster is really cool. I did buy the the pre-order release straight from Ramen Toy, which also comes with the shotgun and the crystals and the talisman. Those were packed in the back of the case, so you couldn't see them there, but I didn't use any of those in my display because I like to try to keep it somewhat cartoon accurate and simple as much as I can. So those were not used, but they were in there, and they looked really cool, and they were really great. If you watch anybody else's review, I'm sure you will see them. This is just more of a first and final impressions and not so much of a review. So we're not going to go over articulation and all that kind of stuff, but he does have any kind of articulation you want except for ankle rockers, but ankle tilt works well. Now, final thoughts, fantastic figure. I would definitely recommend it, especially for anyone who's a fan of Bravestarr and wants a physical representation. I was a fan as a kid. Never had a Bravestarr toy. Had plenty of He-Man, just not Bravestarr. So I will say that this is my definitive representation of him. and really enjoy it. So I hope you guys do too. But my recommendation would be, if you want a Bravestarr, even if you're not a huge fan, but you just kind of like to have one because he's a cool looking cowboy type character to add to your shelves, this is a fantastic one for the price that they charge for him. A couple other things I should mention because I almost forgot them. The hat. That's one thing that Ramen could work on a little bit better. Is the hat is very loose, falls off very easily. Does not. There's no mechanism to lock it in or to. There's no friction. There's not enough friction for it to stay on fully well. It's a little bit cut, a little bit too, either too large and it won't stay on there, or too small and it won't push down far enough for the friction to catch. I'm not sure which. And then the belt, as you know, I didn't point this out on the box set, but the belt comes with it flipped over, meaning these points are facing up, the long points in the bottom. I thought about, okay, I don't want to take this figure apart and fix that because that was one of the complaints, and I just don't want to do all that. But I will tell you that you kind of have to. So if you don't take it off and flip the belt over, it doesn't sit properly. So you see where it's sitting right now. It's on his waist. I've got it there. It seems like the belt's a little tapered. So as it goes up to what's supposed to be the top, it gets thinner. So when you push it down over the waist, it catches. When it's flipped over the opposite direction, it doesn't catch because the taper is at the bottom. So the looser part's up high. And as I try to put, any way I would try to pose manipulate them, the belt would ride all the way up to basically the chest plate there and the chest joint. So you kind of have to fix that if you're going to display him open. But at the end of the day, really solid figure, really good job by Ramen Toy. One of the best out there as far as a Bravestarr figure goes, so I would definitely say get him. And we're back here from our lasting impressions of Ramen Toy, the Marshall, their take on Marshall Bravestarr. I let this figure set on my shelf for at least a good 24 hours from unboxing to doing the last impressions and recording to see how I really felt about it. And I gotta be honest, my opinion didn't really change drastically from my first impressions. Figure looks fantastic, does really well. It does have a few kinks to work out, like the hat fit, the holster fit, and the balance is probably the biggest one. But overall, this is a really great representation of a modern, updated take on a classic character. This is definitely a recommend from Monster. Now, if you enjoyed this or any of our other content on the Stay Word Network, please like and subscribe. And if you want to check out any of our other channels, please go check out Big Rob on his channel of Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food, Chris Daly on the Fueled by Weird podcast, wherever you find your podcast, and myself and Hassel on the Nerdy Man Room Show, or on Hassel's review, or in Hassel on Hassel's reviews on the Nerdy Man Room Show channel.